whenever we decide to put these things together, hopefully in the next 3 months, we'll be running one every fortnight on different topics. And if there's any topics that you think you would like more information about, you know, by all means, send it to us, ring us, tell us, text us, whatever, and we'll put together a presentation on it, on maybe a speaker if we need to, whatever's required. Because the last one on heat stress was very, very successful. A lot of people rang after it, you know, to ask questions about ventilation and one thing or another. In fact, one man, he wanted to speak to Joy, so it was very good, very successful. So we'll kick off. So basically, what we're going to do this topic tonight is milk access. Everybody knows what it is, and what we're going to try and do is explain it maybe in a bit more depth to you. And Neil will do that as we go through. So look at milk access. On the agenda tonight, with introduction, with the key indicators that milk access sort of helps, where you can find it on your T4C, what the settings are, the reasons for the settings, and then a question and answer at the end. So, as I say, there's a question here to start with. How many people have ever moved their milk access? And what, if any, results have you found? If any is of any comment, not just unmute yourselves and say what you found. Everybody's staying very quiet. Neil, I know you move yours up constantly.
Yeah. I'm always fiddling with it.
Yeah.
Trying to get the best out of it.
Yeah. Very good. Now, well, everybody else must let it sit where it is because none of them are speaking. So we'll move on if that's the case. So here's your KPIs that the milk access really sort of controls. So you've your total milk produced, your average yield, your milkings per day, your refusals, failures, free time, and the number of visits per robot. Now, don't go by the figures in this. This is a ghost herd that Jacob and me have to play on. Neil has the real thing at home, but Jacob and me haven't cows at home, so we have to play in this ghost herd, and this is where we sort of take it from. As I say, I think that's the end of mine, and I'll pass you over to Neil now, if that's all right. Okay, Neil?
Okay, that's fine, Morris.
Right.
Next, right.
Yeah.
So
You go on ahead, Neil.
about your slide there, Morris?
I can explain this, and yeah. So basically, this is where to find milk access. It's a wee video just to show you where it is. It's in data entry. But if I can get it going here, yeah, we're going. If you follow it, the cursor runs about a bit because I wasn't sure how to record it, but eventually got the hang of it. So we're in data entry, settings, milking, and then milk access. So that's where it is. If anybody wants to find, and it'll be recorded, so you'll have it as well. Now, that's the same thing. Right, I'll hand over to Neil from here. And Neil, if you just tell me you want the next slide, then I'll pop it on for you. All right, thank you.
All right, guys, we've found, Morris said there how to find your milk access. So I'll try to explain what you're looking at here. So you'll see on this particular milk access table, we're looking primarily at the first column. So we're saying that the maximum number of milkings is 5. Optimum expected yield on this is 8, and minimum number of milkings is 4. I would count this period as like our training period for cows and or heifers. Many of the farms I've been to, you'll actually see I change this figure from 30 up to 40. Just it allows cows to milk more often in the early part of lactation, so that they're not actually having refusals. 4 milkings a day is basically milking every 6 hours. We don't want the cow to come back in the early period of her lactation and be refused. So up to a maximum of 5 per day. So you can see on this slide we have capacity optimization has been ticked. I'll explain a wee bit more of that as we go on through the slides. But that's really your what I would count your training column. So next slide, please, Morris. You still there, Morris? Hello?
You've put Morris to sleep already.
What's the boredom, James?
Let's see.
We lost you there, Morris.
No, that's it now. I don't know what. I think it's come by my internet playing about. Sorry. You're going now?
Yeah, it's live.
Yeah. Sorry.
Right. So in this slide, what we're looking at here is your visit behavior. So this has been sorted by lactation days. You'll see the number from low to high on lactation days. So what we're doing, we're checking the cows in their first 30 days of milk. So you're seeing here from this column, there's quite a wide variation. This cow's doing 35. The fourth cow down is doing 35 liters, so she's given 14 each time, right down to 5.7 for this cow. She's only achieving 2 point. This heifer, she's only 8 days into lactation, so she's probably in a training phase still. She hasn't really got used to going. As you see the lactation numbers there, this cow at the top here, she's doing 33. So she's doing averaging 9.3 every time she goes to the robot. So that's just how you check what your cows are doing in their first 30 days. You can also look down to make that 40 days. There's more in your number then. Next slide, please, Morris.
Yep.
So, right, we've gone over this first column, the 5, 8, and 4. This next column is from, on this feed table or access table, from 30 days after calving until 14 days before dry off. This is obviously the main part of your lactation. So this is when we have these settings according to whatever your herd is doing. As a general rule, I would divide your average by 3. So if you're averaging 27 liters, you divide that by 3. That gives you the 9 kilos here in the middle. That's a maximum 5 milkings per day still. We don't really want any more than 5 milkings a day. You can milk cows 6 times a day, but for me, the teat end never really closes properly, and you're asking for trouble. Down at the bottom here, we have the minimum number of milkings. Some of you may have that set at 2.5 milkings. If you're tight for free time, we're wanting to bring that down to a minimum of 2 milkings per day. What that does in effect is it doesn't milk your stale cows as often, but it allows your fresher cows to milk 5 times a day, which is what we're wanting. We're wanting the fresh cows to have more access to the robot. So say, for example, you're averaging 30 liters per head. I would have this around 10 in the middle. We tend to move this up. If you are moving it up, I know Morris put on one of the slides there, 200 mils to 300 mils a day or every couple of days. I would tend to work on no more than half a kilo a week. It does make quite a difference to the cows when you change that up. So cows will get, if I had this at 9 now and I wanted to raise, if I'm struggling for free time and want to raise the optimum yield, I would tend to move it to 9.5, let it sit for a week, and then see how things are going. And then if you need to raise it on again, up to 10. Similarly, if you're bringing it down. Is everything okay with that?
Everything seems all right. Yeah. Next one.
Yes, please.
Any questions? Anybody? Just, as I say, unmute yourself and ask. Right.
So that's the middle column, as I say, is probably the most important one that you'll deal with. The last column is your 14 days. It shows here 14 days before dry off. So we've raised the the milk access in this column to 10, and the maximum milkings there set at 3. I generally wouldn't have mine set as high as that. For the last 14 days, I think 2.5 is ample. It's more than enough, really, even down to 2. The fact that it doesn't milk the cows until they've 10 litres to give will help the cow to dry off naturally. If you don't milk her as often, should be refused. If you're struggling for free time, I've seen us raise this 14 up to 28, even to 30 days. So at the last 30 days of their lactation, they're not milking as often. Just while we're on this, it's showing all of the milk access table. The capacity optimization, it's useful if you're struggling for free time, basically. It's like smart milking, really. What it does, it'll milk your cows from 90% milk. I can't remember the phrase. Help.
Is it? It'll milk instead of 100% ready to milk, it'll milk her at 90.
Yeah, it'll milk her at 90. I can't remember the phrase, but if it finds that the cow produces more milk by milking at 90%, interval exceed. Sorry, that's the word, the phrase I couldn't remember. So it'll milk them at 90% interval exceed. If it gets no response, that's if you have free time on your robot. It'll keep milking her at 90% if it's improving. If it gets no response, it'll go back to 100. If your robots are very busy, it'll go the other way. It'll not milk until 110 interval exceed, and it'll push that right on out to 150 of a interval exceed. If the cows don't go down in milk, it's basically smart milking. What it does in time is it only, you think this may sound like a major thing you're doing, it only alters the timings of her milkings by around 15 minutes. And it sees how the cow reacts to that. If she's still going on ahead and producing the same, if not more milk, it'll move it out another 15 minutes until it gets to what we'd call the sweet spot. If it finds that she's not giving the same amount of milk, it'll bring it back down again. Another option, if you have the capacity optimization, is custom takeoff. You can set different cows to take off at different stages. If you want to milk your cows out a bit longer or shorter, it's something you need to be careful with, though. It's not something I play about with an awful lot, because to be honest, I don't know enough about it to really mess about with it. You could cause yourself problems with not milking cows out enough. So I have never played about with my takeoff, but it is an option for you, and we can get you more teaching on it if you want to know.
We have one guy using that. Neil, is that right? One man using herd optimizer.
I have it on mine.
Oh, you have it in yours?
Who else?
Trevor has it, hasn't he?
Oh yes, that's right. Trevor McClure has it on his. I forgot about him, Morris. Actually, before you start to use it, you need to have your milk access table pushed up fairly accurate up to your limit. So, say for example you're doing 33 litres per cow. I would want to see your middle box gradually rise up to the 11 in the middle there, so that they're doing 3 milkings a day and 11 litres. That did buy Trevor quite a bit of free time. It's a module that I saw a question there. Is it available? It's in your license, and it's a module that is available. I'm not sure on the pricing of it, Morris. Do you know?
I'm not sure, but we can find out. I wouldn't be sure. We need to probably ask Jim.
There is a cost for it,
yeah.
But you can get everyone would be entitled to a 3-month free trial.
Yeah.
That's right. As we did at Trevor's farm. We got his milk access up, and then he was allowed to have the 3-month free trial, and he decided to keep it on.
Yeah, because he got free time and he got extra cows on, didn't he?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
extra cows and no more cows to collect either.
No. Yeah, that's right. Very good.
Any other questions about that, guys? So I'll explain intervallic seed, I suppose, a bit better if you don't really know what it is. The easiest way to explain intervallic seed is, say, for example, you have a cow that's milking 4 times a day. Basically, she could milk every 6 hours. So if she's milked at 8 o'clock in the morning, by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, she's 100% ready to milk. If she doesn't come for another 3 hours, she's then 150% ready. And if she doesn't come for another 3 hours, she's then 200%. So that's the easiest way to explain intervallic seed. Sorry, I didn't see that. What was the question again? Sorry. How many litres realistically can't be moved up to? The highest I have seen is the minimum box set at 15. So it sounds like quite a lot to not milk a cow until she's 15 litres to give. But whenever I milked in a parlour, I was milking twice a day. I had cows doing over 50 litres. So in the mornings, they were maybe carrying up on 30 litres. So it's not really that high. Okay?
All right, everyone. Right.
Right, so these are Jacob's.
Neil, thank you. I'll hand over to Jacob now and he'll take this on from here. Thank you, Neil. That was very good. Thank you.
Yep. So I just sort of tried to put these slides together to actually sort of show you what moving each litres can do for your milking. So sort of as Neil said, if you're dividing your average by 3, if you go there to the 3 milkings a day on our little table, you can go across and see at 7 litres, the cow would only have to be given 21 litres for the robot to try and milk her 3 times a day. And to milk her 4 times, it's only 28, and 5 times is 35. So really, in a herd like that, you're going to, if you have 30 litre average herd, having your milk access at 7 litres is not great. We'll probably see cows getting over milked, and well, you know yourselves, that could lead to teat end damage or could lead to more failures. And that's something that you do see, that cows and farms that are increasing their milk access, their failures will actually come down, as well as hopefully increasing a bit of free time. So if we use the example of the 30 litre herd, you can see there we'd have them right across to the 10 litres to get 3 milkings a day. And then as well, I just made this little graph that kind of shows it a wee bit clear. So you can see if you move across, even if you were at 35 litres or somewhere along that scale, you can move across at 35 and you'll see that is actually saying for 36 litres, you can move it right up to 12 and you'd be getting 3 milkings a day still. Hopefully that makes sense, but sometimes it's just quite hard to visualize in your head what that actually means. And if a cow, for example, was milking, if she was given 30 litres and you had your milk access at 8, that means she could roughly milk every 6 and a little bit hours. If it was at 9, she'd roughly be milking 3.3 times a day, which is 7 and a bit hours. And if you got it right up to your 10, that would be 3 milkings a day every 8 hours. And if you went past 10, you're up to say 11, that's 2.7 milkings a day, and it's roughly about 9 hours in between each milking. So even at 9 hours, you know, in a parlour, they could be waiting 12 hours, so you're still over, you know, your 2 milkings a day, even having a 30 litre cow average at 11. Do you want to go to the next slide there, Morris, please?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of what Neil was saying about raising your milk access. So there's we're all kind of on the same wavelength that we want to be doing as small a change as possible, but rather than doing a big jump once, we'd rather you do a couple of smaller moves. So Neil's happy to do 500 mil a week and leave it and see how it goes. If you're not sure about moving your milk access and you want to do it slower, that's fine as well. You could go for 200 mils and do it every 3 or 4 days and make sure that we're not having any more cows to collect. Because as Neil says, it will throw them out of their rhythm, even moving at half a litre. Especially once, if you say have a 30-litre herd, once you get close to that 10 litres in the middle box, it's making more and more of a difference every move. So it's once you start to get close to that, that's when you want to be slowing down. So that's when you'll be looking at your report 35, and you can sort it by how much yield the cows give each milking, and you'll see how many cows you're going to affect by moving it half a litre, or by moving it 300 mils, or even right down to 200 or 100. So as well, you can see there, me and Marsh said that it's something that you need to be monitoring fairly regularly. So when your cows are fresh, we want to be rising it up, make the space so that your fresh cows can hit the ground running. Sometimes people move it whenever they see the yield has increased, but you're nearly getting a wee bit late. You need to start moving it before the big swell of heifers come in or everything starts calving, so that you already have space created for them to start milking more often. And that's what we've said there. It will gain you more free time, but we're also hoping that it'll allow your higher yielding cows more space to milk, but also ensuring that your low yielding cows aren't getting over milked. So your 30-litre cow, if it was still set to 7 litres, which is or 8 litres, sorry, is the default, that's nearly milking her 4 times a day. And a lot of people will have cows doing 35 and early doors, and she'll be getting milked 4.5 times a day, which is a lot for any cow, never mind a 35. We'd rather take one of her milkings and give it over to our 50-litre cows. On to the next slide, please, Morse. Yeah, so I've sort of touched on it before, that the milk access can actually have an effect as well on our field milkings. So these are sort of the 2 reasons that you'll see on your field list that are most to do with the milk access. So when it comes up that connection time, that can be if her bag hasn't physically filled up, because we're trying to milk her every 7 litres, and really we need to be holding her out longer so her bag will be fuller and the robot can connect. So a lot of us probably use the 2 times a day milking, which is brilliant. If the cross teats, that'll help them spread out. But by moving the milk access, you're ensuring that every cow has that sort of wider set bag, and hopefully it'll be easier to cross on. And the same with the teats not detected. If the teats are so close together that it can't see them, or they're cross, or see hairy udders and dirty lasers, all things that will affect that. As well, when cows, we have seen it before, if they're being over milked, sometimes they'll not stand still in the robot because it's sort of hurting them. They know they want to get the sweets or they want to get the meal in there, but they don't really want to stand to be milked. So it's just something to watch. If you see them restless and you look and it's a heifer and she's been milked 4 or 5 times that day and she's still coming round, it's the likes of her that putting the milk access up will help her hopefully stand still a bit and hopefully stop her dancing quite so much. And again, if she's failed because she didn't have enough milk, then the robot will have given her her meal the first visit to try and when it's trying to attach, and then the visit when she is actually getting milk, she'll not be getting her full allocation of meal. She'll be getting a very small percentage of what she should be getting. Yep, you can move on, Morse, I think. Yes.
Sorry, Jacob.
No, it's all right.
Quick with fingers, a shaky hand.
Yeah. Is this still my slide, or I think?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah, no, so we've just sort of said here, whenever you do move your milk access, two things sort of happen. You'll either make more free time, which is a lot of people's aim, but this can often be sort of short-lived because your higher yielding cows will sort of take up that slack as such. They'll take up that free time, and hopefully some of the extra milkings that your slightly lower yielding cows were getting will be passed over to our higher yielding cows. But that's sort of what we're aiming for. If a cow's coming up close to stale, but she's not in that end 2 week period, we don't mind it pulling her back a little bit in her number of milkings and giving it to a cow who's rising, pre 100 days. Yeah, and there's a good line there at the bottom. So this will hopefully make your robot more efficient and more profitable, which is exactly what we're hoping we can help you with. Yep, I think that's me, Morris, on that one.
Yeah. Thanks, Jacob. Thank you.
No problem.
So, if you look at it, basically, what milk access effectively does, it steals time from your staler cows and moves it to fresh cows. And that's how your robot becomes efficient and profitable, because the right cows are getting milked when they want, and also the staler cows, they're still giving milk. We're not knocking them in the head, but they can carry a lot longer, because in a parlour situation, milking twice a day, a cow giving 20 litres, expecting her to carry 10 is nothing for her. She probably was carrying, a lot more in the parlour, in that situation. So that's where our aim with this is to try and get you to understand milk access, not be afraid of it, and hopefully maybe start moving it up a bit in places. I know we have moved it in places, and then maybe there's a few late cows, or else the meal rep, he'll come in and say, "What is that there move for?" "Oh, you need to move that back," because he thinks if you move it back, you'll get milk. You won't. You're actually doing harm to your fresh cows where your milk is. Because as you know, whenever you look in your lactation curve, your milk, the main part of your milk's coming sort of 40, 45 days, and you're pushing on towards 70 to 80 days, and you're starting to go down the hill then, or thereabouts. So if you're taking milk from them cows and giving it to cows that are 200 days in milk, you're not doing your fresh cows any justice, really. So that's what we're trying to, our aim is to try and help you with that and help you to understand it. I have trouble enough understanding, but that's nothing new anyhow. But anyhow,
there's a question there from James. Is there just one milk access table for the whole herd, or a separate one for heifers? You can have a separate one for heifers as well, James. If you go into where your milk access is and you click on where your milking heifers on the left-hand side, if you go to use group setting, you can set your access differently for your heifers to your cows. Okay.
Yeah, very good, Nate.
And just on that as well, you can actually even set if you needed to for drying off, you can set a whole nother group and go once a day even on that milk access. If it got to the point where you're struggling to dry cows off, you could put them in that for say a week, just to really help pull the milk back on them. I know a few of the boys in Donegal have done that.
Very good. Any other questions?
Lely feel now that no herd needs to average more than 3.2 milkings per day. Even herds that are averaging up on 40 litres, they reckon that 3.2 milkings is plenty. So is anyone here above 3.2 milkings per cow? Everyone's quiet.
Yeah. Nobody must be above 3.2. Nobody must be above it, Neil. They must be all in underneath. Folks, do you know where to unmute yourselves? Don't be afraid to do it, because don't be afraid to talk, because we're just gabbling here as if we're sitting in the front living room having a night's crack. So you might as well join in. But
see, David has asked there about that's the dynamic milking. Because I was on dynamic milking when I was on silage, you know, where it was challenging the cows. But whenever I went to feeding grass day and night with zero grazing, we felt that there was enough challenges for the cows because it's inconsistent. So I've actually turned the DLM off at the moment. But whenever we go back to the full winter ration, I will be turning DLM back on again.
yeah, we hopefully within the next month or 6 weeks we'll be doing another webinar on DLM, you know, before the winter sets in. So maybe guys that are thinking about it will go through it again and explain it, if that's all right.
Well, it certainly, whenever I was on a winter diet, it certainly was saving me money.
Yeah. No, it certainly seemed to work. We have 2 at the minute running with it, Neil, or Jacob, is there?
Yep, I think so.
Yeah. We have two running with it. So we have. Is there any more questions?
Yeah. There's 2 more have come in there.
Oh yeah, there's.
Or 3.
Great.
No, 2.
Should optimum be moved down if yield is down? Should optimum be moved down if yield is down due to different silage being fed, if refusals rise? It depends, Ivan. If your average is well down, if you say you've gone from 30 down to, I'll go an extreme of say you're at 30 and your middle box is on 10. If you go down to 24, it's quite a big drop. You could move it back down. Just be careful not to over milk. That's the main point I'm thinking. Your refusals will rise, and you feel you're not getting the milkings in because they're not going in. But as long as you're over 10% free time, you could move it back down again. But again, move it down again slowly. James is asking her what default takeoff setting you're using. I use quick takeoff. I think it's the most suitable for my type of cows.
Neil, just explain quick takeoff, would you?
Right, quick takeoff is whenever the cow gets to 40% of her milk flow, it'll hold the cups on for another 8 seconds before it takes the cups off. If you go to what they call normal takeoff, as far as I remember, it's 40% and then 15 seconds. And then extended takeoff is down to, I think, 40% and then 20 seconds.
I think that's right.
So that's some of the thing we're doing yesterday with the vet. Was he was showing how the cow's teat swells when the cups are on, and if you're holding on too long, the swelling nearly closes the milk canal off, that the milk can't get out. So if you're trying to milk, if you change the normal takeoff, you get actually doing more harm than good by doing that. Do you want to go over that again, Morris? You know where the slide.
No, where do you want me to go back?
Just the slide that we were showing yesterday. Remember where it showed how the teat swells up inside.
Oh yeah. So basically, the teat. I haven't got that slide, but Neil.
Oh right, sorry.
Have you got it, Jacob?
I'll have a check.
Somewhere. There's a lot of slides, but we're going to be doing that in the next, sort of lack of weeks as well. We're going to be doing that as well. But basically, whenever the teat's been milked, it swells. So if it's been over milked, what it can actually do is close. It's an edema. Isn't that what they call it?
Yeah.
So
the edema at the base of the teat where it attaches to the udder.
Yeah, so it only lasts for 30 seconds after the liner comes off. So it's a bit like if you got your finger and you put a piece of string around it and tightened it, the blood would flow, but your finger would get very, you know, like hard and sore. And because the way the teat works, it's like an open and close to let the milk down. Whenever that happens, it actually closes off the milk canal. So therefore, the robot thinks that she's, you know, she's all her milk give, so it will take the liner off, but there's maybe still milk there. So it's very severe on cows. So we learned that yesterday. So that's something to do with over milking as well. So as I say, in the next I'm not sure. Jake may have to put these all together. So we'll be working on them, and we'll be sending out a list of all the different webinars we intend to do over the next sort of 3 months. Hopefully one every 2 weeks. You'll be glad to hear, I'm sure. And we're going to organise 6 whenever James McClellan's at the Barley. So yeah.
When'll that be? There's been no barley cut for the last 10 days.
No, plenty of rain today, James.
Neil, can you hear me?
What's that?
Can you hear me, Neil?
Yes, I hear you now, yeah.
Do you see, go back to your milk access, would increasing that help with your rest feed? I'm quite bored with rest feed.
Increasing your access in what way do you mean? Is that whole, is it?
Yeah.
In that the cow's in the box for longer?
Oh, that the cows, so I suppose your big milk cows would get to the box more often.
Yes, well that is true. Yes, it will help with your rest feed in that case, yeah.
Right.
I assume you don't have time to use priority feeding on some?
No.
No.
You don't, Hall, sure you don't. You're tight on time.
I'm tight. Well, I'm not so bad at the moment, but I'm still, yes, I'm tight for time.
Yes, well, if it allows your fresher cows in more often, then yes, they will. Just make sure your feed speeds up. You know, keep it up like 600, 650 grams a minute. That'll help as well.
Right.
And if there's a couple of your cows that are really struggling for rest feed, you know, if you have even a couple on priority feed, it's not going to use up that much time, and you know, in comparison to how they'll perform.
Right. Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yep.
Any other questions?
Okay.
No more in the chat, Jacob?
Just check. No, I think we're all good, Morris.
Right. Well, if that's the case, thanks everyone for joining us. As I've said, it's great to see you. I think with 22 in tonight, so that's really, we're delighted with that.